Would you like to learn how to arrange your home to attract abundance? This is Robert Manni, host of Guys TV, and this week my special guest is Feng Shui expert Janine Lowe. It all starts right here, right now on Guys TV. You can also catch me on KCAA Radio here in Southern California, Guys Radio, my worldwide podcast, and we're on UK Health Radio all weekend long. Guys TV, Guys Radio, thanks for your support. Okay, Guys Radio, it is the interview portion of our show, and my special guest is an expert in Feng Shui. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, but we'll find out in a moment. Drawing from her work with clients over the past 15 years, author Janine Lowe practices what she preaches. Feng Shui Your Way to Abundance is the book we're going to talk about today. Shows how to use Feng Shui to attract positive energy and change into your life. Buildings have living, flowing energy that one can help tap into. And the book offers the right tools and expert knowledge for using the energy of your home, office, and garden, as well as your professional and personal energy to attract exactly what you want in your life. Janine has been doing this for many years. She's an intuitive, and just got her into a lot of trouble as a child, but she developed she found Chinese astrology, and she became mentored by a gentleman by the name of Joey Yap, and she's developed this system of Feng Shui and Chinese astrology. We're going to talk about all of that today, right here on Guys Radio. Welcome to the show, Janine Lowe.
Hello. Happy to be here.
So let's start right at the beginning, because what I'd like to do today is introduce Feng Shui. And what's the right pronunciation, Janine?
Feng Shui. I say Feng Shui. Some people say Feng Shui and all that, but Feng Shui, that's how it's spelled. Yeah.
So let's start out right at the beginning. So to just lay some context that everybody understands what Feng Shui is, and then we'll get into Chinese astrology and then how we can use Chinese astrology and Feng Shui together to really improve our lives.
Okay, so Feng Shui, Feng Shui means wind and water. And the idea is that when you want to, I'm just going to jump in a little bit fast and then come back out again. Feng Shui is about wind and water. And what you use in Feng Shui as a tool is water features, ponds, swimming pools, etc. Placed in the right part of your house, because there's 9 different areas in the house or the garden, brings in the positive energy of abundance, good fortune, helpful people, loving relationships, and things like that. So I started my journey with Feng Shui when I was 25, 26, from the basis of how you would put something called a lo shu on your house, which I explained in Feng Shui Your Way to Abundance. So in the center of your house, you have different areas, and those are the areas. So it's that's it. Yeah, that's the book. For my background. The idea is that one of the biggest tools of Feng Shui is decluttering, if I'm honest. Because often when I go to Feng Shui a house, people will say, oh, I want more wealth, or I feel very lonely, or whatever. And all the different areas of the house, I work out where they are. Go to the house. Often when people call me in, they're like, oh, I want this, but actually they want something else. So can I give an example? Because this is much easier. So I had a lady in London, and she invited me into her house. She was feeling very lonely. She wanted to meet somebody. She wanted actually to live in Brighton, which is random because that's where I live. And what she said was, I don't think you can make that happen. I was like, well, you're paying me, I will make it happen. So I did. So I put the lo shu on a house, and there was one room exactly where the Feng Shui was to make what she wanted happen. So we go into the room, and it was a derelict bathroom. And I'm like, she was quite a large house. And I'm like, well, this is where your man is, and this is how you'll move to Brighton. She goes, well, in this room, it's horrible. And I go, well, you haven't bothered with it. And because you haven't bothered with it, it's died. Yeah. So she literally went in. She had to put a whole new bathroom in, do the whole, she had lots of money anyway, so it wasn't like it was like a massive thing. She just was ignoring this part of her house. So she did all that, and within 3 months of finishing it, she met a man who lived in Brighton, and now they live together in Brighton. Actually, they got married last year. So
Now,
it's as simple as that.
when you say a derelict bathroom, what do you mean by that?
So in your house, is there a room you don't use very often?
Me right now, no, but I had been in a house and I had a room that I didn't use, and it got every time I went into that room, it felt worse and worse. So I just closed the door until I
Yeah,
moved because
yeah.
it just the energy was so stale and felt creepy. The hair used to go up on the back of my neck. I don't know what happened there, but I shut it off from myself. I had a 4 bedroom house at the time, and I was the only person living there. So right now, no, but in the past, I've experienced that.
So in everyone's house, we tend to leave a room. It just seems to, or we go in it and we dump our clothes in it, or we dump, we come in and just drop things. Yeah. That particular room will usually, out of the 9 sectors, whether it be good fortune, helpful people, your career, that will be what's affecting us in our life. So when they call me in or call one of my students in to Feng Shui their house, when they immediately come in and say, "Oh, I want my husband's career to be better," or "I want to be famous," they know exactly where that is. And you can guarantee that that'll be the room or that'll be the area where they don't like, or it's cluttered, or they just don't spend time in it. So I have a very easy answer to this. A room that you don't use much, I don't know what you call it, we call it underwear, knickers, bras, pants. Put that in that room, yeah, so that every morning, even if you don't want to go in there, you're going in there and you're bringing your energy into it, yeah.
So
Um,
it sounds like you need a flow in your house. You don't want to have any areas where that are ignored.
exactly that. And as I say, that tends to be the part of people's lives that seem to be not working as they should do. And Feng Shui is all about energetic energy, bringing the energy from outside in. When you look at a house, the front door is your mouth. Yeah.
Hmm.
So always have your front door clean, tidy, and the right color to bring in the right abundance. Your windows are your eyes. So always make sure your windows are all clean and that sort of thing. So you have to think of the house as a living embodiment of a person or a being or whatever. And your relationship with your house is the relationship that gains you what you want out of life, basically. Um, there are houses that are what I class as naughty houses, which you shouldn't stay in. When you see, I don't know how it works in your way, but houses that come on the market and then within a year someone else has put it on the market again.
Hmm.
Do you have,
Sure,
do you have,
sure.
yeah. So I went to Feng Shui a house in a town called Southwater, and a lot of the people there had in that particular side of the road had got divorces, yeah, and they all got divorced that side of the road, and the other side they didn't. So another one of my client wanted to buy a house there, and I was like, "Don't buy that side, buy that side."
Hmm.
It's a ley line, isn't it?
Okay,
Things like
so
that.
let's, for the benefit of our listeners and viewers, so the art of feng shui, if you will, it's based on north, south, east, west, basically. So your house, your home would be have some kind of quadrants in it, and so you want to get a sense as to because north represents something, and south and east, west, and southwest, and all of that. So the first step you want to be able to do in a house is to kind of get your coordinates set up. Is that correct?
Exactly. So that's when you put so you get the plans for your house, or if you haven't got plans of your house, you can make rough plans, or you can stand in the middle of your house and use a compass to find the different directions.
Okay.
Because there's
So
actually 9 directions.
all right. Let me ask you. So what happens is if you're building a house from scratch, obviously you could make it perfectly feng shui and put the water in the right places and the wood in the right places, etc. But most of us, if you're in a condo or an apartment, it's pre-built, or you're going to buy a house or rent a house, whatever, and it's already standing.
Yeah.
How do you work with kind of what you have? I'll give you an example. I went through, when I read your book, I went through the different places I lived in. The last place I lived in, the front door faced east, which you say is a good thing. Now my front door, which is across the compound from where I live, it faces southwest. So it is what it is. What do you do about some of these things if they're not set up the way you want them set up?
Okay, so Southwest is a good door, by the way.
It's a what? It's a
It's a
that's
good door. It's a relationship door.
okay.
So it's all about bringing people into your life as partners.
Hmm.
So can I just go back to the different directions and
Yes,
then
please.
explain? Right. So when you have your house, you or apartment, you put the 9 grids on. I'll explain how to do that in a minute. But each part of your house is either east, southeast, south, southwest, west, northwest, north,
Hmm.
northeast, right?
Hmm.
So all of those, you put like nine. You do a what's it called? Grid, 9 grid on it. So you
Okay.
have your house and you start putting the 9 grid on. So the southeast is good fortune, and the element for that is wood. So what you would do in the southeast, which is an amazing area, you'd bring water into that area because southeast is wood, so water nourishes wood. Okay, so that's making it really difficult.
Hmm.
But good fortune is a really good area to obviously we call activate. So you activate by using water. So in good
Okay.
fortune, it's mainly water in that area. If you want to be famous, which a lot of people do, the south, the south of your house, which is 180 degrees from the center of your house,
Hmm.
holds the fame star. And in my own house, I've got a picture of Brad Pitt in the Fight Club.
Hmm.
Why would not have a picture of Brad
Sure.
Pitt?
Right.
And then the southwest, that's the relationship area. So that's where you put pictures of you and your partner. If you're by yourself, someone you would like to be with, you can bring that in by putting, a couple of swans, pink candles, special plants. That's all in the book. Then if you go to the west, which is from the center is 270 degrees, I'm making this sound boring. 270 degrees is creativity, where I've helped people have babies that have not been able to have children. So you use that part of the house to have babies, and you can guess what you could do over there. So that's the west. Then you've got the northwest, which is very much related to the man of the house, the father, the man's strength. So that is metal, and it's also the Northwest is helpful people. It's a really good place to do a lot of feng shui, keep decluttering. Then we go to the north, which is career, as you know, and we activate that as well by placing water and things like that. I was working with one lady. I'll give an example. And her husband was not getting anywhere with his job, and it was a conservatory with nothing in it. So all we had to do was put him in there to work, and then
Hmm.
his job. He suddenly got promoted, and she's like, "It's that easy." But it is because if you've got nothing there, you're not actually manifesting anything. So it's manifest and action that are really important.
Okay.
And in the Northeast, just finally, is where all the money is.
What is
Northeast of your house is where all the money is.
the money?
That's
Okay. Oh,
wealth
yeah.
stuff.
Okay. So, the name of the book is Feng Shui Your Way to Abundance. My special guest, Janine Lowe, coming to us obviously from the UK today on Guys Radio. So, I went in my house and I noticed it's set up diagonally. So it's not, a pure square grid. It's more diagonal. And some of the things aren't in the places they need to be, and some of the things are. So are there some hacks? I mean, some these things are pre-built. I'm in like a condo building, so I can't move the rooms around, but I can move
So
stuff in the
no,
rooms. And
yes,
for instance,
exactly.
the free space that you mentioned in the book, the center, that's where my fireplace is. That doesn't sound like from reading the book, that's a great idea.
No, it's not. But when you say different angles, okay, the main part is that different. You wouldn't have the like. You might have a really wide, helpful people, but then you'd have a very small career. Yes. So that's why I explain about its degrees.
Okay.
So when you talk about oh, I've got that in the middle of the your condo, but is it exactly in the middle? Because it has to be just
No,
a
not
round.
not
Yeah.
exactly.
So Feng Shui is about being very exact. It's very
Okay.
important if you want the magic to happen, as I call it, although it's metaphysics. But you have to literally find the center, even if you walk the line, walk diagonally, horizontally, and then you find the middle, and then you stand there and use the degrees that I put in Feng Shui Your Way to Abundance, and only use that and get a pinpoint of exactly where it is,
Okay.
then that's how it works. When I work for big companies, I might go in every year and I just pinpoint exactly like just that much, not huge amounts of space. And that's where their wealth is that
Okay.
year because it moves.
So the center of the home, and I know where my spot is because my wife and I, we walked through and we got the compass out on the iPhone and mapped it out. And it's an open spot. It's an open area. And to the right is to the southeast of it is a fireplace, but it's open and it's part of a big open room. So what should we do in that spot? The center of the home. What should people do?
The exact center of the home should
Mhm.
be kept clear and quiet,
Okay.
because that's the health area.
Hmm.
And so we always keep it uncluttered. We don't do any actions in it. We just like completely clear and quiet. So if someone said, "Oh, I just put my drum kit in there," I'll be like, "No, it's got to be like." So it's only a meter around the center
Okay.
of the circle. Then you start from that doing. You can do it like what's that game? Trivial Pursuits, like
Right.
segments.
Hmm.
Yes, you can do segments off in degrees. And as I say, I put it in the book the different degrees that you can use. And that's the exact point. Some people use the grid, which makes it easier to look at. But if you want the best feng shui and the most activating and making it happen, you do the segments. So from your house, your condo, which is this way, you'd find the center, and then you would just find 0 degrees. Not a compass. What's those things we used to use when we were younger at school? Maybe not you so younger, but me so younger. Where you'd find north, and then it would be like a pie thing. So you,
Yeah,
you so
I
you
know what you
put,
mean, but
yeah, can't remember what it is, can we? And then you map it out into the nine, well, that would be the 9 sectors, and then and the middle will be one of the sectors. Yeah, so it'd be one,
okay.
two, three, 1, 2, 3. And then you would then have exactly the right degrees on what you wanted to do. So when I teach people to do feng shui or I feng shui, you cannot get the whole of your house done. It's impossible. But if there's certain things that you want to come into your life, and I say no more than 3 at all, and you work on those 3, which usually, I have to be honest, is wealth for most people,
Sure.
which is abundance, yeah, um, relationships, and manifest and career. So there's 4 really. And basically, if you work on those areas, making sure they're decluttered and have the right, as you said, the right things in there. So, like we said, for the relationship area, it was couples stuff. So you and your wife would have pictures of you, but not of your children or your family or your pets. A lot of people go, "Oh, look, I've got my pet in this picture." You're not in a relationship with your pet, just your partner, yeah. Or maybe some people
So
love their
what
animals.
area of the home would that be where
That is the
with go ahead.
Yeah, that would be the southwest, and from the center of the house, that's 210 degrees. We're in very metaphysics here. So the southwest is the relationship area, and it's always good to make that, if you're in a long-term relationship, make that somewhere that you sit and have coffee or something where you go and have a glass of wine at night. So that's your actual area where you have your discussions about
Hmm.
future things. And what you're doing is then you're bringing all the positive energy. Because when you talk positively about anything, things start to happen, don't they?
Mhm. Mhm. So let
Find
me
that?
give you an example of how the kind of real world, maybe you have some hacks. And again, I'll use my own example because the place we're living in right now, the southwest quadrant is where my son's bedroom is. So we don't go in there and have coffee and we don't hang out in there. And he just does his thing in there and he's very happy to
Yeah.
hang out and he has trains in there and stuff like that. So what is there anything we can do? Because the point is, for our listeners and viewers, like, we've come into these homes and maybe it's an apartment, maybe it's a house, but you can only do so much. So are there some hacks that we can do that's he's 11-year-old son. He lives in that room. He hangs out in the room. What can I do?
So then you would find another room that you would, it's in Feng Shui Your Way abundance, so you can't actually work with that room. So you'd work in another room and
Okay.
find that particular area. Some people have gardens or patios,
Hmm.
and you can use that sort of effect outside, which is
Got
even
it.
better in
Hmm.
fairness. So
Hmm.
if you can't use the room inside, or you have it as a missing space, because some people have houses like horseshoes
Hmm.
and there's this bit missing, or they might have a house or a flat and someone else's veranda, I think that's what you
Hmm.
call it,
Or
comes in.
a deck, sometimes we call
Deck, yeah. And so what you have to do, you have to work with what you can. So
it.
if you can't work in the relationship, you take it outside, yeah. Or if you have your own bedroom or you have a lounge, then you take the lounge and you work within that lounge. Some people only have one room,
Right,
don't they?
right,
They have to work
exactly.
out.
Yeah, they have a
And
studio.
that
Hmm.
and that you still put on one room. You can put
Hmm.
it on one room. It's not for the biggest houses in the world. I also, you can use Feng Shui on your desk. So your desk is set up on Feng Shui. So you have your phone in the wealth area. So when you pick it up, it brings you money in, or or you want help for people, or you want fame, or things like this. So it is really versatile, and you have asked a really good question. Thank you.
Well, here's another one. You mentioned in the book about where your head should be when you
Yes,
sleep. There's different
yes.
directions, and I thought about all the places I lived in, and sometimes they seem to be in the right place, and sometimes they're not. Right now, just based on logistics, my head and my wife's head, we face southeast.
Is that the tops of your head?
No, the tops of the head would be southwest.
So southwest is the relationship area, which is fine.
Okay.
That's it. But it's really important to realize it's the tops of your head. If you
Aha.
can't sleep, if you can't sleep, then always have the top of your head facing north. It's called the
Okay.
sleep of the dead. Yeah. And I promise you, you will sleep. If you're in a ho I've had to travel with my job, and I've gone into a hotel, felt like I've never slept, and you'll find me get the bed, find 0 degrees, and just move the bed because they're all movable, aren't they? And sleep that way. God knows what they think when they come in the next morning, but hey.
That's I'm thinking of two places I lived in, and I had no problem sleeping whatsoever. And both times my head, I was facing north, but my head was not north. This is where your head should be or where you face?
The top of your head should be facing, yeah. The top of your head. So
Okay.
you lay down, it's where it's
So
facing.
beyond where the top, if your head, something came
Yeah.
out of your head, that's the direction. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So also some people who uh, are like into fame or do podcasts or radio shows or TV, then I will always have their head facing south, top of their heads facing south, because that's where they're comfortable. That's where they dream what they want to dream, what they want to happen in their lives. Yeah.
Okay.
So by sleeping with your head, top of your head to the south, you're bringing the energy in to do what you want, because we all
Got it.
have our dreams and then we wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and if we're clever enough to write it down, we write it down. But that's where you do so much of your manifesting. It's when we dream. That's
Okay.
what I think.
Okay, Janine Lowe, my special guest, Feng Shui consultant. The name of the book is Feng Shui Your Way to Abundance. You also mentioned, and there's a good section of the book about Chinese astrology. And this, I believe, we're going into the year of the snake for 2025. Tell us about your take on Chinese astrology and what's the significance of it and how it's different than traditional, Western
Western, yeah. So
astrology.
I started doing Feng Shui, and I realized that the people that lived in the houses had their Chinese animals, like the year you're born and the year the house was made, or the year you go into the house, you move into it, it all aligns, yeah. So if you were a snake yourself, yeah, you wouldn't go and move into a house that was made in 1983, because the house with its energy wouldn't actually like you. You wouldn't know that, but things wouldn't work as easily. So the year you're born in, the year, well, from your date of birth, which is The year you're born in is all about your family and friends. The month you're born in is all about your career. The day you're born in is your relationship. And the hour you're born in is all to do with your wealth. Because metaphysics, Feng Shui, Chinese astrology, I use that to help make people money, because there's certain dates and times that actually are really auspicious for you. But when you're talking about Chinese astrology with Feng Shui, the reason I put it in Feng Shui Your Way to Abundance was because when you buy a house or you move to a house or you rent a house, that house is like the other person's energy's left and you've come in. Yeah. And it's like you need to always space clear your house when you go in, just so you've got rid of the other people's energy. And another tip, when you leave where you've been living to move to your next house, make sure that the last thing you take out of that house is from the kitchen. And then the first thing you put into the next house is in the kitchen. And
Why is
that
that?
it's a really big Chinese tip, because it brings really good auspicious stuff with it. It shows that because the kitchen is the heart of the family. It's where you have your meals, it's where you talk, where you
Mhm.
create things. So what they want you to do is take your goodness from one house and place it in another. So this is a really important thing to do.
One of the things that we've done, different places we've lived is we're always saging, and particularly I moved into the place I'm in now in August, and it really needed some saging. So I got some tips from your book. You mentioned go around the home in a clockwise direction, and maybe start with a bell, and then use the sage. And we find that frequently we need to do that.
So the reason we use the bell first to ring round the whole house is when you're ringing the bell, sometimes it gets a bit slower, and that's where the bad energy is. Let's not say bad energy, stagnant energy. So by ringing the bell, you know where it is. When you do the saging, it then brings the level up. And I think it's really important to sage really often, because we have other people come into our
Right.
homes. Not everybody takes their shoes off, and I don't mean that rudely. And then they bring in their energy in. And they may have been next to somebody who had bad energy, or they may have had a bad day and they bring it in. So it's really, I find that as one of the most important things. And it's something I personally do a lot. And also, I recommend it to my clients, because you need to have that whole positive energy in your house for you to keep on doing what we do in general, you know. Um, Abundance is a big thing that we have in our life, and different people think of abundance in many things. Some people think it is wealth, and wealth is an energy because it buys us the things we need to do. Health is another abundance, happiness, relationships, all that sort of thing. So in the book, I literally concentrate on all the way through of it. And I'm really, thank you so much for reading it, because you know exactly, you come up with the, yeah, I feel really blessed that
Well,
you've
it's
done that.
helpful. I mean, it's a very helpful book, and you've got into great detail on it. What's interesting, I want you to talk about this, is how the Chinese astrology intersects with the Feng Shui and how people can leverage that.
So it's always good to know what Chinese animal you are. So in the book, I've put down all the Chinese animals, which is, well, it's 12 of them, on the year that you're born. And it gives you an idea of your own personality, of the people that live in the house, and how the house relates it. So if you know when the house was built, that's a really good thing. So for me, I'm a rooster, and my secret friend is a dragon. Okay. As it happens, I've got a 1929 house, but it was built in 1928, so it makes it a dragon house.
Mhm.
My job, before I was even a Feng Shui consultant, was I used to buy a house and flip them. Didn't we all at a certain point? And then I got to this house, I bought it to flip it. It's right on the beach, yeah, in 2001. We're now in 2025, and I've never moved, because the house was just like the most perfect house. I had to find other ways of doing things, and I took money out of the house and started buying houses elsewhere. But this house, sometimes you go into a house and you just feel at home. Yeah.
Mhm.
So the Chinese astrology is really important to know so that you know how you relate to your own home. And it also helps you because I've given the directions of all the 12 animals and where they sit in the house. And that will help you. Like, I'm a rooster, so I go and sit to watch my TV. I've got my TV.
Okay.
My house is so feng shuied up on the dragon, yeah. So I can watch it and have that good energy all the time.
All right. So I am a horse. So what are some tips for me in my home?
Right. So
And
tips for you.
my wife's a pig. My son's a snake.
Oh. So pigs and snakes are clashes. Yes, they actually clash over different things, especially between the hours of 9 and 11 and 9 and 11 in the evening. The two of them shouldn't really talk too much around that time.
And it
They're,
happens
you
all the time at
know,
night between 9 and 11. Yep. Between my
yeah,
wife and my son, they start battling near bedtime. And it's like, it's,
yeah.
you can mark it down your calendar. It's going to happen.
So the book it actually teaches you what are your auspicious hours and what aren't your auspicious hours. So you're a horse, which makes sense to me because you are an entertainer, you're in the entertainment business. So your most auspicious area is the south, okay?
Okay.
And also, the other area for you is the northeast, which is wealth. So for you, if you were, I would have you sitting in the northeast and have your computer facing the south, or I'd have you in the south with your back to the south, facing the northeast. And then that in itself would bring abundance in. Your most auspicious hours are 11 till 3 and 7 till 9 at night. But you can get your most work done between 11 and 3.
Mhm.
And you know, people have this idea that you have to go to work at 9 and you have to work till 7, you've got to do all these hours. But mainly, we only have 2 to 3 hours a day where we're productive. And if you knew what those hours were, then that makes life so much easier.
And these make perfect sense. And thank you for that. So some tips for folks activating financial abundance in the house. How do they,
Okay.
what's big picture?
Right, big picture for abundance. So let's concentrate on the northeast of your house, which is if you stand in the center of your house, you look between 30 and 60 degrees. That is where the money is. Now, it is also as if you're walking into an old-fashioned library, you know, where you have the burgundy color, you have the books, like you're walking into knowledge.
Mhm.
Yeah. So more often than not, I would make it well, it depends if it be an office or not, but I would make that somewhere where you can go and work if it's for you. And actually that's interesting because that is very good for you because it's between 30 and 60 degrees. If the room is a bedroom, then that obviously is difficult. But if you can just take your laptop and go and work in that area, especially within your specific auspicious hours, and concentrate on what you exactly want. And people, I mean, I write about manifesting the book, but people think that you just put a manifest board up and that's it. No. I
You have to
mean,
do
in
the
my
work.
groups, yeah, you've got to do the work.
Mhm.
Action is so important. So on my board for this year, I've got my books. I've got them in the south because that's really auspicious where the horse is, and actions of what I want to do and what I've got to do. And I just spend a couple of hours a day working on it. Not every day. We can't work every day. Being entrepreneurs, we can work at the weekend, you know, if we want to. But this is slightly off kilter, but do you sometimes think that when you wake up, you're like, I just don't feel like working today? Just don't feel like it. And that is an inauspicious day. I call them duvet days. If you follow your positive energy and you've got your house all keyed up, yeah, and you have that time, the world isn't going to miss you for a day. Yeah.
Mhm. That's good.
I think you and I were going to have a talk before Christmas, and I got the flu that everybody had, and it wiped my diary out. 10 days. I never get that sick. And I thought, oh, I'm just launching my book. What's going to happen? But nothing happened. We were allowed to have that time, and we moved it to another date. But I think that is living aligned to your energy. And if your house is in the right energy, then everything seems to fall into place.
Now, you mentioned, I think the southeast quadrant of the house being, you should put water there.
Yeah, it's all
What if it's outdoors?
perfect if it's outdoors. So I would have put a water feature out there.
Okay.
And the reason I tell you that is I've got an Art Deco house. So you know how they used to have the flat ceilings and they have like missing spaces here and they have that. So I actually have a pond exactly there. And I've had my fish 21 years and they're still there,
Oh,
growing
that's
happily.
fantastic. Well, I just realized that my workspace is, I'm not in the Northeast, but I face Northeast because I couldn't put my workspace in the Northeast in my home, but I could face that way. So that's what I'm doing. So I guess, is that a
Exactly.
hack that we could work with?
That is definitely a hack. Yeah, definitely a hack. I mean, when you talk about relationships, when you said like your son's in your relationship area, but again, you know, if you want things to happen, he's got an outside wall
Hmm.
or a hallway. You can always put pictures outside there of the two of you, not the three of you. So it's not like I was talking to someone about Feng Shui the other day, and she goes, "Oh, it's a hallway." I said, "Well, it can't be a hallway all the way because from the meter in, there's a segment that will not be in the hallway." Oh yeah, because we think we have to go to the end, but we can start right in the very middle as well.
Okay. So bathrooms, I'll use my place as an example again, just because I think a lot of people can relate to it. We got two bathrooms. We can't move them. They're side by side. What can, and they face, they're in the south, between the southeast and the southwest.
Um, Bathrooms are a really funny thing. We all laugh about, you know, keeping the toilet seat down. One of the big hacks I've got for bathrooms is um, instead of having a plug, yeah, have a stone. You know, like you can get a pebbles if you're near the beaches
Mhm.
or just things. Don't have a plug so that the energy doesn't go because they say that all your money goes down the toilet or goes down the sinks. But if you have a stone, what happens is it just trickles through, it doesn't rush away. And that's a big, big hack. So all your sinks in the whole house. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm lucky I live on a beach, yeah, so I just go and get stones. And when I teach it, we go and get stones. And I put large stones so the water just and doesn't allow the energy to go down because it's always got a plug, but you can use it as a proper sink. So kitchens, bathrooms and toilets are funny things. There's no real hack. I don't like the idea of, and never have, of having real plants in them or anything. When I see real
Mhm.
plants and all this, I like bathrooms and toilets to be absolutely clean, you know,
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
all white, maybe throw a red towel in or whatever, but as uncluttered as you possibly can get them.
Okay. How about the kitchen?
Ah, the kitchen. So, a big hack to bring wealth into the house with the kitchen is where you have a hob, what do you call it, oven,
Yeah.
cooker,
Mhm.
yeah,
Oven,
oven, right. So,
range, whatever.
which is the range, yeah. So the where you cook on top, not behind. So where you cook on top, have mirror tiles behind it because your range is one of the best wealth ways of making money because it's all to do with food and creating and that. So one of the big hacks, if you can't work in the wealth area, is to put mirrors behind them. I mean, yes, you have to clean them, but just a couple of mirrors behind them, that's a really good thing. So the most important thing is the hob and the oven. And depending, like a lot of people say, oh, my hob and my oven's in the north and that's water, so that's not going to be really successful. But wherever the kitchen is, it is the most auspicious thing. Another little hack, and I think this is really funny, but I know it's true, a fruit bowl on the table in the kitchen. I was like, how does that work? Right? How? Because I don't like anything on the top. I have cats, as you can tell behind me, and I don't like anything out because they walk on the tops. But I thought I'd try it. So good. It started to work. So I've got a bowl of fruit on my table.
Mhm.
This is just a weird one, but it really works. So I bowl it. Someone said, "Oh, does it have bananas or anything?" No, it just has to have fresh fruit in it.
Fantastic. Well, listen, incredible book. It's called Feng Shui Your Way to Abundance. Janine Lowe, Feng Shui consultant, Chinese astrology, Feng Shui, everything you want to learn about them. This is a good place to start. Tell us, Janine, where people can find out more about you.
Okay, so I've got a Facebook page called Janine Lowe Feng Shui, and that's got 250k followers, so just so you know you're on the right page. Instagram, again, Janine Lowe Feng Shui. I wish I was an Instagrammer. I just can't get my head around it. I have got a social, but it's just not my thing. But there's things that go up 3 times a
Website?
thing, and there are posts that go up on my Instagram 3 times a week, but it's not where I go live. I go live on my Facebook.
Okay.
And also my website is www.janinelowe.co.uk home.
Fantastic. Well, listen, best of luck to you. Much abundance. Thank you for the tips. I may be reaching out to you and asking for you a couple of ideas as I continue to go through our home and figure out what are some of the hacks we can use. But great stuff. Thank you for being on Guys Radio. Janine Lowe.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
If you enjoyed the guests and content I bring you each and every week to Guys TV and Guys Radio, please support us by subscribing to our channels and platforms. Thank you.